I didn't know they were gone until I saw the photo. Smiling on a beach. My mom, my stepdad, his 2 kids, matching shirts, sunglasses, a sandcastle behind them. And me? I was still in bed, still wondering why no one had come to wake me up. It was like I blinked and the world had gone quiet, like someone had hit mute on my life. No note, no message, no heads up, just silence. And then suddenly, this picture, like a punch to the chest, framed in a square on Instagram. I stared at it for so long my eyes started to blur. I thought maybe it was a memory. Maybe I forgot we went. Maybe they just posted it late. I mean, there had to be some explanation, right? But no, they left, without me, and I don't know what part hurts more, that they didn't tell me, or that they didn't even think of me. Like I wasn't just forgotten, but excluded, on purpose. I was 17. Not a little kid, not a grown-up, either. Just old enough to know what was happening, and just young enough to think it might have been a mistake. It wasn't. I scrolled through their photos. Boating, ice cream, bonfires, and then the captions. Family trip. Much needed time, with the ones who matter most, the ones who matter most. I was home, alone. I reheated some pasta from the fridge that night and just stared at the microwave until it beeped. I didn't cry right away. I didn't know what to feel. Anger didn't even show up until later. At first, it was just numbness, like a door closing that I didn't even know was open. And then suddenly it was locked. I remember I sat on the couch and kept checking my phone, convincing myself maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe I'd get a text. Hey, we're picking you up tomorrow. Or there was a miscommunication. Or even, I'm sorry, but nothing came. Not that night, not the next morning, not even when they came back. It's crazy, isn't it? How one photo, one tiny little filtered square, can split your awkward life in 2, before and after. And the thing is, I still don't know why they did it. I still don't understand how my own mother looked at a packed suitcase, walked out the door, and didn't feel the weight of my absence. Did she hesitate? Even once? Did she look back, or did she just go? Pause. Breath catches slightly. And maybe the real question is, when did I stop being part of the family, and why didn't anyone tell me? I think the mistake was small. So small I almost missed. But sometimes the worst cracks come from the things you don't notice in time. It was around Christmas. A few months before the trip. The house was full of noise. Wrapping paper, fake cheer, the usual tension that comes from people pretending to be closer than they are. His kids were opening gifts in the living room, shouting over each other. My mom was laughing, the kind of laugh she used to only have with me when I was younger. And I was in the kitchen doing dishes. Alone. Not because anyone told me to, just, it felt easier. Safer. There'd been this shift for a while. Not explosive. Just quiet. My stepdad started calling his kids the crew, like they were some kind of team. Mom picked up on it. The crew this, the crew that. And I wasn't part of it. Never was. I was just her son. A side note. But that day, I remember something specific. I overheard him talking to my mom. They thought I couldn't hear. But the walls in our house are thin. I wish they hadn't been. He said, he's always in his own world, you know, like he doesn't really fit in with us. And she didn't say anything. Not one word. Not, don't say that. Not, he's trying. Not even, he's my son. She just let it pass. Like it was true. Like I was just some shadow in the house. I stood there with my hands still wet from the sink, holding a plate, and it hit me like a sickness in my stomach. This invisible shift, it had a name now. I didn't fit. I was other. And I think that's when something in me started to pull back. To protect myself, I started staying in my room more. I stopped trying to make small talk. When they ordered food I told them I already ate, I became quiet. Too quiet, probably. But it felt better than hearing my voice echo in a room that never answered back. There wasn't one big fight, no shouting match, just a string of silences stitched too tightly together. And yeah, maybe I was cold. Maybe I wasn't easy to talk to, but I was trying to not make waves, trying to still be part of something that clearly didn't want to hold me. One night, I heard them planning something downstairs. A trip. I didn't know the details, just laughter and muffled voices. I hovered by the stairwell. My mom said, "It'll be good for us. Just some real bonding time." And I think that's when it happened. I made the mistake of assuming they meant all of us. I made the mistake of believing I was still included in us. God, how stupid is that? And then, a week before they left, I remember walking into the living room while they were looking at luggage. I said, "Where are we going?" And my stepdad looked at me like I'd just walked in on a private moment. Like I'd ruined something. He smiled, but not with his eyes. "It's just a quick thing, nothing big." And Mom wouldn't meet my gaze. That was the moment. That little glance. That avoidance. I felt the choice being made in real time, like watching someone walk away from you in slow motion. I should have asked more. I should have fought for clarity, but I didn't. I went back to my room, put on my headphones, and pretended like I didn't notice the sound of their laughter growing louder downstairs. I told myself I was imagining things. I wasn't. Pause. Breath trembles. Voice quieter. So maybe the mistake wasn't mine. Or maybe it was. Maybe it was believing silence couldn't hurt. Or that if I made myself small enough, they'd remember to bring me with them. But they didn't. They packed their bags in the middle of the night and left me asleep upstairs. They came back like nothing happened. Suitcases hit the floor, laughter still clinging to their clothes. The house smelled like airport and sunscreen, and something I didn't have a name for. Something foreign. Something I didn't get to touch. Was sitting on the couch when they walked in. TV on. Volume low, some show I wasn't watching. I didn't even look up at first. I just waited. Waited for something. A greeting. An apology. An explanation. But my mom just said, "Hey," like she'd gone to the store, like she'd only been gone a few hours. I turned toward her. My heart was beating out of rhythm, and I asked, flat even, "Did you have fun?" She paused, just a beat too long, then nodded. "Yeah, it was good for us. Us." I said nothing after that, and neither did she. That was the beginning of the quiet war. Every sound in the house got louder after that. The click of a door shutting. The murmur of her voice in the hallway. The clink of plates being set for dinner. 4 of them. Never 5. I kept waiting for her to notice, to ask, to fix it. But she didn't. I think she thought I was being dramatic. Sulking. But it wasn't sulking. It was grief. I was grieving her. Grieving a version of her that had slowly evaporated. She used to tuck my hair behind my ear when I was little. She used to read to me when I couldn't sleep. She used to be mine in a way that made me feel safe. Now she looked like someone who was avoiding eye contact with a stranger. My stepdad didn't say anything either. He kept smiling that smile. The one that says, "Let's not make this a big deal." He went back to his routine. Football on the weekends, grocery runs with his kids, little inside jokes that I was never part of. He'd throw out lines like, "You good, man," with a kind of fake concern. and I'd nod. Always nod. Because what else do you do when no one's really listening? At dinner, they'd talk about the trip. Remember that seafood place? Oh my God. And the waves. When you fell off the tube. I was there. At the table. But I might as well have been wallpaper. I think the worst part was the way Mom started walking around me. Not past me, around me, like she didn't want to bump into something heavy. Something uncomfortable. One night I came into the kitchen while she was doing dishes. She didn't hear me at first. I just watched her for a second, her back to me, humming a song I didn't recognize. I said quietly, "Why didn't you take me?" Her shoulders stiffened. She turned, dried her hands on a towel, didn't meet my eyes. It was last minute. "We didn't think you'd want to come. You've been so distant lately." I laughed. It came out wrong, like something dying in my throat. "I've been distant?" She opened her mouth, closed it, looked past me toward the living room. We just needed some family time, and that was it. Family time. Like I wasn't in the equation. Like my absence made it better. I left the kitchen without another word. That night, I heard them talking in their bedroom. Muffled. Sharp. I caught a few words. Sensitive. Overreacting. "Doesn't it try?" And my name, just once. Spoken like it was something heavy in their mouths. After that, things didn't blow up. They just broke. Quietly. Slowly. Like ice cracking beneath your feet before you fall in. Voice tightens, but still soft. Intimate. I started eating in my room. I'd wait until the house was asleep before I came out to breathe. They stopped asking where I was going, and I stopped offering answers. Every little thing became a reminder. The sound of the garage door meant they were leaving again, without asking me if I wanted to come. The smell of popcorn on movie nights I wasn't invited to. The echo of laughter through the vents. It's amazing how loneliness doesn't scream. It whispers. Over. And over until you start to believe it. A pause. Longer now. Breath catching. I think what hurt the most wasn't what they said. It was what they didn't say. No one ever said, "I'm sorry we left you." No one ever asked, "How did that feel?" I was just supposed to move on. To get over it. To stop, making things uncomfortable. But the truth is, the silence between us became a second language, and we all spoke it fluently. I stopped knowing how to talk. I'd open my mouth and nothing would come out. Just static. Just this fog in my chest that made every sentence feel pointless. What was I supposed to say? "Hey, just checking. Am I invisible now?" "Mom, do you still love me? Or did that expire when you married him?" Was there a conversation where you all decided I didn't belong? Or did it just happen slowly? I thought about asking, so many nights. But there's something terrifying about knowing the answer might break you even more. So instead, I started shrinking. I stopped eating breakfast. I stopped texting friends back. I'd stay up till 3 a.m. watching videos of strangers talking about things I couldn't name. Detachment, abandonment, dissociation. I'd read forums, comments, articles, trying to find a word for what I was feeling. And I think the worst part is, there isn't one. There's no word for this kind of heartbreak. It's not romantic. It's not a breakup. It's not death. It's being left while everyone pretends you're still there. I started sleeping through most of the day. Missed assignments. Missed meals. Missed life. My room became the safest place. Not because it felt good, but because at least in there, the disappointment was predictable. I'd stare at the ceiling and wonder if they noticed. If Mom could tell my voice was getting duller. If she even heard it anymore. She'd knock on the door sometimes, say, "Dinner's ready," like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't cracked me open and left me there. Bleeding silence. I'd respond with, "Not hungry," and she'd walk away, just like that. No questions, no insistence. No. "Are you okay?" Wanted her to fight for me. God, I wanted her to just try. To see me. To come into the room, sit on my bed and ask, "When did we stop being close? How did I fail you? What do you need from me?" But she didn't. And so I began spiraling inward. I started writing little notes to myself on sticky pads. "You are not a burden. You are real. They are choosing this. It is not your fault." I'd stick them to my wall, my desk, the mirror, a sad little army of affirmations, fighting off the ache. But even those started to feel hollow. Because if I wasn't a burden, then why was I so easy to forget? If I was real, why did no one act like I mattered? I started second-guessing everything. Was I cold? Was I dramatic? Did I push them away? I'd replay every memory I could, trying to pinpoint the exact moment I became too much, or maybe not enough. I kept thinking about that line. He doesn't really fit in with us. It looped in my head like a song you don't want to remember, and every time I passed a mirror, I wondered if that's what people saw. A misfit, a leftover, a mistake. Sometimes I'd hear them laughing downstairs and I'd imagine walking in, just to see if anyone would go quiet. If they'd flinch, if they'd remember. Other times I'd fantasize about disappearing completely, packing, a bag, leaving, seeing how long it would take them to notice I was gone, not in a dramatic way, just quietly, softly, the way they left me. There's a particular kind of grief that comes from being emotionally orphaned by someone who's still alive, still living in the same house, still breathing the same air. It's like being haunted by someone who hasn't died. And the worst part? I still loved her. I still love my mom. Even when she forgot me. Even when she chose silence. Even when she stood beside a man who pushed me out of the frame and smiled like that was okay. Love doesn't just turn off. It lingers. It aches. It claws at your insides and whispers, "Maybe tomorrow she'll remember you. Maybe next week she'll say sorry. Maybe there's still time to fix it." I wanted her to fix it. I needed her to. But nothing came. Not even the ghost of an apology. Voice breaks slightly, but stays quiet. I started to wonder if I was crazy. If I'd imagined how close we used to be. If childhood had lied to me. Because now, she was a stranger I still called Mom. And I was her... what? Her ghost? Her roommate? Her mistake? Brief silence. Breath in. I think what scares me the most isn't that they left me behind on that trip. It's that they came back. And never tried to bring me back with them. Time kept moving. That's the worst part. It didn't stop just because I broke. The days blurred together. School, sleep, screens. I went through the motions, brushed my teeth, showed up, laughed when I had to, but I was somewhere else all the time, floating behind glass, and eventually, they stopped noticing that too. My stepdad didn't bother with check-ins anymore. He'd just give me that same tired half nod whenever we crossed paths, like we were co-workers who never liked each other but had to share a break room. And Mom, she changed in this subtle, terrifying way. She stopped being warm. She'd still say good morning sometimes. Ask how school was, casually. But it felt like something she did out of habit. Like feeding the cat or checking the mail. It didn't mean anything. And me? I got better at hiding things. I stopped bringing it up. Stopped waiting for a conversation that would never happen. I learned how to laugh just enough to seem fine. I started lying more, Not big lies, just little ones, enough to survive. Yeah, I'm good. No, I'm not hungry. I've just been tired lately. What I really meant was, I don't know how to exist here anymore. I'm scared I've been replaced. I miss you so much it feels like dying. But no one asked. Not really. And so those words stayed buried. One day I overheard them talking again. Another trip. Another vacation. This time I didn't even flinch. I just sat on the stairs, listening. He said something like, "Let's just keep it simple, just us." And she said, "Yeah, that's probably for the best." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, still, cold. And I think that's when I realized this wasn't a phase. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't something I could fix if I just tried hard enough. They had made peace with the version of reality where I was optional. I was no longer part of the we. I was me. Alone. Orbiting a family that never quite let me in. It was like standing in the doorway of a warm room, watching everyone laugh inside, knowing the door was never meant to open for you. I think that's the moment something in me gave up. Not on life, not in a dramatic way, but on them. I stopped hoping. I stopped waiting for her to remember. Stopped rehearsing conversations in my head. Stopped trying to shrink myself down into something lovable. Because it turns out, no matter how small you make yourself, some people still won't make space. Pause. Heavy breath. Voice quieter now. I wish I could say it ended with a big confrontation. A moment of truth. A scream. A slammed door. But it didn't. There was no explosion. Just a slow erosion. The kind of ending you don't notice until you realize you've been living in it for months. And maybe that's what hurts most. That she let me fade out of her life without even blinking. No tears. No fight. Just distance. And I keep thinking, if I had done something awful, if I had hurt them or pushed them away on purpose, maybe it would make more sense. But I didn't. I was just a kid who wanted to feel like he mattered. Is that so hard? Is that too much? Long pause, then voice cracked but calm. Sometimes I dream that she comes into my room and sits beside me on the bed. She's holding the photo of us from before, when it was just me and her. She's crying, and she says, "I'm sorry. I don't know how I let it get like this." And in the dream, I cry too. And I tell her it's okay. And I believe it. But I always wake up. And the room is empty. And the silence is real again. She never came. They all went on with their lives. I stayed. Behind. Not just in the house that day, but in every way that mattered. And no one ever came back for me.